Welcome back to another episode of Moonacre Creations. If you're new here, my name is Megan, and I make fantasy art and costumes of all kinds. A few years ago, I made a video about a patchwork skirt I made for Halloween, and a lot of people were interested in the pumpkin head I wore in that video. So today's video will be a tutorial of making that pumpkin head, and hopefully I'll be doing it better than last time. This is the actual pumpkin head that people were wanting to see, but this one is not very good for a number of technical issues that I'll point out. So the new one will be much improved, so let's get started. So to start off, we're going to be copying this pumpkin head from last year, and I'm going to try to make it a little bit bigger just so it fits a little better because it was kind of tight last time I made it. So the first thing you're going to do is take a punch balloon. I got these at the Dollar Tree. You should get like 4 in a pack. And I'm going to try to blow this up as big as it will go to make the maximum size for this head. So I think this is significantly larger than the head I already made. This is pretty much the maximum size, so I'm going to go ahead and get to covering this in a layer of glue and paper. So I'm just using plain white glue. I got this at Michael's a few years ago, and you can use Elmer's if you want, it doesn't really matter. And the paper I'm using is the paper I use to make my corset patterns and stuff. I think it's just a little bit heavier weight than normal computer paper, but any paper will do. I often use the paper from like Amazon packages, like the brown paper, because I think it's a good density. You can also use newspaper or paper bags. The first thing I'm going to do is tape the balloon to the table to make sure it doesn't move. One thing to think about is whether you want your pumpkin head to be like long up and down or side to side. I'm kind of doing mine like hamburger style, like wider on the side, but I guess you could have more like a gourd type if you wanted, so just think about that and see how you want to position your balloon to fit whatever you want to do. Next, you're going to want to rip the strips out of your paper. You're going to have to rip them with the grain. You can tell the grain of the paper because if it's against the grain, it will rip like that diagonally, and if it's with the grain, it will rip easily and smoothly in straight lines. I think the perfect size for a strip is about that wide, maybe about a ½ inch to an inch, but try to have some different sizes so you can get full coverage. So you're going to want to continue to cover the balloon in strips. I usually do 2 layers of paper for the first layer, and then let that dry, and then move on to do 2 more. So I've just indented the top of the head and the sides to get that shape I'm looking for, and I've also drawn the face on. Next, I'm going to cut out the face and start detailing the sides with paper mache and kind of smoothing out this rougher edge, and put the stem on. So to make the stem, I have curled 3 of these long pieces of paper into like snakes, and I'm going to twist them all together to make a nice thick pumpkin stem. just going to close off the end with a little bit of masking tape to secure it, and then I'm going to secure it to the pumpkin head also with some masking tape while maintaining this kind of spiral shape at the bottom to make it look natural. Okay team, we're moving on to painting. Everything is really solid. You're going to want to make sure it feels really solid. Don't let it have any give when you're pressing on it. This other one I made was not strong enough. You can see how the mouth caved in just by it sitting on top of itself. It's supposed to be like more like that, but instead it has collapsed down to this shape, so I'm not very happy with that. So on round 2, I've made sure to add enough layers of paper mache so that it is really, really strong. Another problem with round 1 was that it was too small. I can't even hardly get my head in that thing anymore. This one has a really big hole on the bottom. I wanted to create the illusion in the end that it's kind of like a pumpkin head on top of a neck. Like the pumpkin head itself will have a neck. And not just be kind of resting on the shoulders. So the idea with the first one was that it would have a small hole so that that illusion would be created, but I ended up making it too small. So just make sure when you're cutting it that your head can fit in here with extra room and everything, and it should still look pretty good even with the bigger hole. I was just overthinking it last time. So we're going to move on to painting it. I'm just going to get some regular old acrylic orange paint and some browns and different colors to add a little bit of depth. Okay, actually, let's not get started. One more thing I forgot to do before I paint it is I'm going to add a couple little snakes of paper mache down the side to add a little bit more texture, because it is just a flat round head right now. So like on round 1, I'm going to add these little snakes of paper mache to kind of create like a pumpkin texture all throughout. So I'm actually going to do that first and then we'll paint. Now that all the dark colors are done, I'm going to go over the top with orange paint and a fan brush to dry brush on all of the final layer of paint. Then I'm going to be covering up the eye holes with some see-through fabric and adding some, like a hat to the inside so that it will sit on my head correctly. And then that will be it. So I've highlighted the whole pumpkin, and I'm going to go over all of those lines with orange later, but first, while that's drying, I want to get into making the headpiece that will go underneath. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut out a big rectangle that will be about 6 inches wide and 24 inches long. I'm going to fold that in half and then fold under the seam and top stitch along there to close it up. And then we'll have this long strip. Next, I'm going to make a circle for the top of the little hat we're making. I'm gonna fold over my fabric, cut out a circle that's 8 inches in diameter for the top of the head, and then I'll have this little folded over pocket which I'm gonna stuff with some quilt batting. So I'm gonna build up the layers of batting, like 5 tall, and then fit them into the little circle form and sew around the edge of that. Now that both pieces are done, I'm gonna sew them together, sewing the band to the circle to create this little cap. It's going to function kind of like a bicycle helmet with 2 straps that go around the ears, because if you just add one then it will fall forward if you bend forward. So I'm going to make 2 straps. One will be around 20 inches and the other will be around 15 inches, whatever you think is appropriate to fit your face. And then I'm going to be using this little clip. And I'm going to be using this little buckle to attach under the chin, and it will be adjustable. So if different people wear it, it will always fit. So I'm going to attach those 2 straps on the top, about 3 inches apart. Put it on your head to try to like fit it to see if they're in the right spot. So I'm going to sew the 2 straps together where they meet just below the ear, and then I'm going to attach the buckle. So on the left side I put this little D-ring around, and I'm gonna put the chin strap attached to that, and then the other side is directly attached to the buckle, and just feed the chin strap through the fork side of the buckle, and that will ensure that it is adjustable. You don't have to add the D-ring like I did when I was doing it. I've never done this kind of strap before, so I just added it kind of by accident. So you can just have it attach right from this intersection at the bottom of the ear area. Next, I'm going to attach it to the inside of the mask. So I have this really big needle. I don't know exactly what these are called, but it's just a huge sewing needle. So I'm going to puncture that through the form and sew it through the hat. I'm going to put both of these on at the same time, kind of figure out where it needs to sit to be level and everything, and then I'm going to try to pin it in there with some regular like garment pins, and then I'm going to sew through the actual hat with this. It should puncture right through, and I'm just going to sew in and out and do like a straight stitch, like a really loose straight stitch through the whole thing to keep it secure. I wouldn't recommend gluing the hat in or anything because it will definitely come out. There's nothing stronger in this case than actually just sewing it through the actual mask form. So I got this really thick thread. It says that it is waxed cord, 20 yards, 18.29 millimeter, and that's what it looks like. You can probably find this at any craft store or Amazon. That's what I'm going to be using to attach it. And I'm going to be using black because it'll blend in. So while wearing it, I punctured through the headpiece and through here to kind of pin it in place. That works better than the dressmaker pins, I found out, and that will ensure that it's in the right position and I can start actually attaching it to the form. So the inside part is all done now. I did have to add some elastic around the forehead and around the back of the head because I was still having an issue with it sliding forward. So that keeps it extra secure. Now I'm going to be moving on to painting the highlights orange and adding some super dark black lowlights to really give this thing depth. Then I'll be spraying it with a coat of varnish, and then that will be all. I just built this little frame to hold up the head while I paint it. I'd recommend having something similar or like a coat rack so that the bottom of the mask doesn't touch while you're painting like this area. So all the paint is drying, and while it is, I'm going to start cutting out the liner. I have this black fabric I got on Amazon that goes inside of masks and things to cover your face. Because another problem I ran into on the last mask is that I didn't put a liner in and you could see the face through, which looked very strange. So I have this on this round. All of the paint is dry, so I'm gonna go spray him with a clear coat, and then it will be time for the reveal. Critique item 1 is that the sides of the pumpkin head are kind of flat. That's because when I was condensing the balloon on the sides, I didn't round it off enough after, so either side of these has kind of like a flat disc that I think is pretty noticeable. I mean, you might not notice it if you're not looking, but I definitely do. So if you're doing one yourself, maybe be sure to smooth off those edges before you continue to go on with the project. Item 2 is that I think I should have painted the whole inside black. Right now only the edge is black, probably about 5 inches in, and then the rest is the color it already was. So I think I should have painted the whole inside black because I think you still can kind of see it through the screen when you're seeing it in real life. Overall, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I like the shininess. I used a high gloss varnish at the end to achieve that look. If you don't like it though, you could use a matte varnish. The paint job I like. All of the weathering looks good. I like the way the stem came out. On round 1, the stem was kind of like dumb looking in my opinion. It's like this little shitty dinky stem, and it's actually broken now. It's like snapping off, so this is a great improvement. I do think I should have added a leaf though. Like this one had a leaf, but it isn't even a pumpkin leaf. So I'll have to actually look up this time what a pumpkin leaf looks like, and maybe I'll add one to this head. You can see here round 1 the mouth is collapsing in on itself. There's form issues, it's breaking on the bottom, it's very flimsy, and then here's the new one you can look at and compare. So So in my opinion, this one is a great improvement, although there is a few things I can still nitpick, which might just mean I have to make another one next year. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing. I'll have 2 more Halloween videos coming out for 2025, so stay tuned for those, and I'll see you in the next one.